Today we have our resource person, Dr. Sejal Santosh Nilbekar. She is a professor at B&M Institute of Technology. She has more than 18 years of industry, research and teaching experience. She holds her ME, BE degrees in computer science and engineering from UVCE and Gujarat universities respectively. She was awarded PhD degree in computer science and engineering from Bangalore University. She has published more than 28 papers in international journals and conferences. She has received an Outstanding Paper Award at a European Conference on Data Mining in the year 2015. She has published a book entitled Web Recommendations System in Springer Publications. Her copyright on underwater image enhancement using generative adversarial network was granted, and a patent on system and method for image analysis and summarization is also published. She has also received project grants from KSCST, and her research interests include data mining, data science, and IoT. Sejal ma'am, we welcome you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your nice introduction.
Thank you, ma'am.
Uh,
Over to you, ma'am.
yeah, thank you. So I hope my PPTs are visible.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Yeah. So today my topic is image and video analysis. So we'll start with what is image analysis. Then we'll discuss about image classification, then convolution neural network, then AlexNet. Then we'll see how we can execute AlexNet on Colab. And then I'll discuss about my research work on image analysis. Then we'll go through video analysis part and research work on video analysis. So this is just the basic definition of image analysis. Hope am I audible clearly?
Yes, ma'am, you're up.
Yeah. So image analysis, basically we require to extract the meaningful information from image automatically. So we need some processing technique to do the analysis. And when we say image analysis, what all the task we can perform is we can read the barcode. That is as simple as reading some numbers. And then we have to identify the person from a face, so that little complex. So I'm just here addressing that we have image analysis which involves less computation and more computation. So how to handle that? And then here we have, as we know that we have large amount of data, so more complex computation and extraction of information is required, and that has heavy processing. And then when you see, or as a human, when we see image, we know that what this image contain. But when we have to give it to system, and then we have to extract the information automatically, then we need the processing here. So that is the last line says that human visual is an excellent image analysis system for extracting higher level information, and we should reach to that level by performing different algorithms. Here, what do you mean by image analysis? So we have to find the shape in the image, then we have to detect edge, we have to remove noise, then we have to say count object, calculating statistics for texture analysis or image quality. So when I'll do image analysis, these are the different tasks we'll perform on image. And then broadly we can subcategory we can give for image analysis is image enhancement, that to prepare image for display or analysis. Then we have image segmentation, to isolate regions and objects of interest. So if I want to detect face, so in the image, so I will segment, I will partition basically image, and then and then we can isolate the region, or we can find out the object. That object can be anything. Then we have to remove the noise, that is noise removal using morphological filtering or deep learning, and then region analysis to extract statistical data. What are the different applications of image analysis? So we have in medical and biological image processing, then we have in space image, then automatic character recognition, then document analysis, we have in defense, then automatic number plate recognition, then we have in remote sensing is detecting intruder in house or producing land cover, land use maps. Then in robotics, we have to avoid the steering on obstacles. So there also we put the cameras in robot, and then we have to do the image analysis. Then in security is detecting the person eyes color, hair color. Then in machine vision, say in factories, we have to automatically count some item which is on the conveyor belt. So for that also we can use the image analysis. So there are various applications on image analysis. And my work is on basically on prediction. So before that, I have to explain you few things about the classification. So how I started doing my research in image. So when we do image classification, we are analyzing the image features and organize into a categories. So then I can say I'm doing the image classification. So I'm classifying the image into certain region, or I want to identify certain objects, so that we will do based on the image features. So when I talk about the image features, it is color, texture, shape, edge boundary, that type of features will extract from the image and will perform certain operations on that, and then will segregate the into certain category. So I'll just go through the steps also later. So when I say why I require the image classification is to identify and describe the features occurring in an image in terms of the object or the type of lens covered. And then feature. So feature is a piece of information about the content of an image. So feature may be specific structure in the image such as point, edge, objects, color, so many things. Right, so that is based on your application, which type of feature you want to extract. These are the certain steps which I have followed during my research, and then we did some combination of algorithm, and you can conclude for some result. So image classification, if I have to do, so I have to give a image as an input. Then we will do pre-processing of image. Then pre-processing is noise removal, that I will discuss what all the things we can do in pre-processing of the image. Then we have feature extraction, then model building for classification, that I can say it is a classifier. Then I have evaluation of the model, so I have to check that whatever algorithm I have used, whether it is working perfectly or not. So that is the reason I need evaluation of model. Then next we have prediction of image. So once I classify, that classifier I can use to predict certain information from the image based on my application. So what all things we'll do in pre-processing steps. So resize of images. Then because when you take image in real world, all the image size will not be same. So first thing is when you apply any algorithm, and if we want better results, then we resize the images. So that is the first step in pre-processing. Then we can do removal of noise to enhance structure image, that is filter, and we can use Gaussian filter. There are different other filters also we can use here, but Gaussian filter is giving better results, so I have just mentioned here. Then we have segmentation. So segment the image, separating the background from the foreground objects. So these are the different pre-processing techniques. So based on our application, we can decide that which type of pre-processing technique we should apply. Then here certain segmentation methods are thresholding, clustering, histogram, edge detections. So again, I will tell that this is based on the application. Then a few familiar feature extraction methods are principal component analysis. These are the old methods. So it's not that every time we can use the CNN model. So if we have less amount of image and then the image clarity is good, we can use the basic methods and also we can achieve good results. So it is not necessary that every time we have to use the deep learning methods, right? Based on the application we can decide. So here feature extraction methods, this is the general method which is available, is principal component analysis, PCA, linear discriminant analysis is LDA, scale invariant feature or transform SIFT, and HOG, histogram of oriented gradient. Then feature extraction, again few methods are there, is speed up robot feature, that is SURF, then LBP, local binary pattern, histogram, and then the recent one is the convolution neural network, CNN, and under the CNN we have many pre-trained models, is AlexNet, PlaceNet, HybridNet, BGGNet, GoogleNet, ResNet, and Inception models. So based on the convolution network or convolution layer, this all AlexNet to Inception models varies. So how many layers have we have added, based on that the convolution neural network work for the different pre-trained models. So these are the basic feature extraction methods. So we have to do the proper survey on that before we'll start the research or any project. So we can use any of these feature extraction methods to start with. Then the model building for the classification. So what are the models we can use? So we have decision tree as a classifier, random forest, support vector machine, k-nearest neighbors, and CNN models. So if you use CNN model, then for the feature extraction also we can use the same model as well as for the classification. But say I have taken the combination of PCA for feature extraction, then I can take here decision tree or random forest or support vector machine, and I can try that how it is working properly, right? So that is the combination we can do for the classification. So my research work on image classification is, and then I have used this for the prediction. So it is leaf disease detection, and the paper title is plant-wise comparison of various CNN algorithms for detection of pest infection. Then we have underwater image enhancement and detection, and here in this we have got the copyright for underwater image network, that is with residual blocks and EDL penalty. So before I start, I'll discuss about the CNN, and then I will show you what type of research work we have done. So basic things, if we start, and if I want to understand the algorithm, I can compare, I can implement all the algorithm, and I can compare the results, and then I can see that why certain algorithm is working better and why certain algorithm is not working. That we can come to some conclusion. So I think we all are aware that what is convolution neural network, but I just go through. So we will have, and this reference I have taken from medium.com. So we have here input. So this is the car. Now system has to identify that this is car. So it gives you the, it has the convolution plus ReLU. So these are some functions we'll discuss later. Then we have here pooling, then again convolution and ReLU, then pooling. Like that you can add different layers here, and then we can have fully connected network, that is for the classification. And then based on the how many classifiers we have, so here we have car, truck, van to bicycle, and accordingly we can use the function here. So here we have written it is softmax because it is multi-classifier here. So this is the basic structure of convolution neural network. So it is based on our application, which detail you want from the image. So based on that we can add the layers. So all the different pre-trained layers are based on this convolution layer and pooling layer. So how many we will add the convolution layer and the pooling layer combination, based on that all the neural network varies. First is the convolution layer. So what it does, it extracts the features from an input image. It preserves the relationship between the pixels by learning image features using small square of input data. And it is a mathematical operation that takes two inputs such as image matrix and the filter or a kernel. So what is filter? So we can say here, this is the same image, right? So 5 cross 5 image, and then I will take the filter. So filter is, you can see here, it's moving. So I will go to each and every pixel of the image and I'll try to get the information from the image. So you can see here that the whole filter is shifting here, and then you can get the convolute feature here. So and that is called your feature map. So it is image matrix multiplies kernel or filter matrix. So which type of filter you can select? You can select 2 cross 2, 3 cross 3, 4 cross 4. So depend upon the information you want to extract from the image. So if you want to get the minute detail, then you have to use the smaller filter, so which gives you the better accuracy for that. Or you can extract the more information from the image. Then stride. So here when you use the filter, how you should move to in the image, right? So because here I have shown only the 5 cross, or maybe it is 7 cross 7. So that will this is very small matrix I have taken, but in the real time it is more pixels are there in the image, right? So the matrix also is big. So in that case, if we have to move the filter from starting from here to the end of the image, the whole, how we can do? So here stride I will use. So stride is what? Stride is the number of pixels shift over the input matrix. So when stride is 1, then we move the filter to the 1 pixel at a time. When stride is 2, then we'll move the filter to 2 pixel at a time. So here it is with the 1, you can say. So you red color you can say, then afterwards it is a yellow color. So we have here stride is 1. So I am going and checking here each and every pixel multiple times. So that is the idea here when you give the stride. And we have something called padding. So if your matrix is not square matrix, then we can add some values into it, and then we can do the padding. And so sometimes filter does not fit perfectly to the input image. So in that case, we will use the pad the pitches with 0, so that it fits, and drop the part of the image where the filter does not fit. And this is called valid padding, which keeps only the valid part of the image. Then we have used, you have seen that there is a non-linearity functions, that is ReLU. So ReLU stands for rectified linear unit for non-linear operation, and the output is fx equals to max. So if I use the max function, then it gives you maybe 0 or x. It's remove the negative values and introduce non-linearity. So that is how we will use here the ReLU functions. And then we can use star or sigmoid function, but ReLU is giving better performance, so usually we will use ReLU. But we can try out with star and sigmoid also, that why it is not working. So when anyone is interested in doing research, in that case we can use all the 3 functions and we can use that. We have next is the pooling layer. So what do you mean by pooling layer? So it reduces the number of parameters when the image are too large. So we will take certain information from the image and certain you can discard by using the pooling layer. So here it is a special pooling called subsampling or downsampling, which reduce the dimensionality of each map but retain important information. So special pooling has max pooling, average pooling, and sum pooling. So how max pooling works? So you have here say 1156. So maximum number you will take from 2 cross 2 filter, and stride is 2. So in that case, the matrix for the red color is the max pooling value is 6. Here 2, 4, 7, 8, so it is 8. And then here 3, 2, 2, 1, so it is 3. Then 1, 0, 3, 4, it is 4. So this gives you the max. So you can say here is it is 4 cross 4 matrix. We have reduced it to 2 cross 2. Then we have last one is the fully connected layer that convert the feature map matrix into vector and fed into the fully connected layer. So this fully connected layer we will use for the output. So next, this is the basic convolution neural network. So we have always here is the image, then that is your input, then we have convolution layer, then we have pooling, then we have again convolution, then pooling, and then the last one is the fully connected layers. And then how many convolution and pooling we are using, based on that different architecture we got it. So I'm just taking here the basic architecture is AlexNet, and now here AlexNet consists 8 layers, that is 5 convolution layers and 3 fully connected layers. And what are the features it uses? ReLU non-linearity, multiple GPUs. Why here we can, it gives better result and it is fast, is we can execute each layer with multiple GPUs. And then we more and more layers when you add, you will get the more information of the image. But the thing is it has computation cost. So but we can do the trade-off that the hardware is cheaper nowadays, so we can take up the more computation cost. So that is how we can say it's fine. Then we have overlapping poolings here, and it solved the overfitting problem by data augmentation and dropped out. So this is the AlexNet structure, that it gives the input image, then layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4 and 5, that is the convolution layer. And then we have fully connected layer, and then we have output for the classes. Show you, I have AlexNet here. So now when I have told that it takes so it requires more computation, and it required more memory and good processor speed. So all we not have this type of hardware. So in that case we can use from the Kaggle. Kaggle is having the notebook, and then we can use the GPU. So here you can see it is HDD GPU RAM, and we can use this and we can execute our program very easily. And another one we have is the Google Colab. So here I have just written the ResNet. So we can use all the Keras library here, that is sequential, then convolution required, max pooling, because I'm using here the max pooling. So we can use the max pooling, then dense layer, dropout, and normalization. So these are the standard Keras layers we can import. Then we have here the classifier. We are taking the sequential classifier here. Then we have here the convolution layer. So I am adding C classifier.add. So I am adding here the convolution layer. Then then whatever the padding stride you are giving, that all the data you can pass here the information, right? So what all the activation function you will use, what is the input size, what is the padding you will use, what is the stride you will use. So all this information you can take it from the classifier. So here it is the filter, kernel, 4x1 input shape. So I just written in the comment here. Then we will add the max pooling. Then we have another convolution layer, then another convolution layer. So how many we should have? We should have here 5, right? Because it is a AlexNet, sorry. And then I will have here this classifier fully connected steps we can show here by you doing the dense layer. So dense layer it is fully connected. So it connected to all the filters and batch we have seen in the figure, right? So that here this is the fully connected steps. Then when you execute it, here we can see that what all the layers are available, what is the output shape of that each layer, and then how many parameters it has used. So all the informations we will get it when you execute it. So total parameter, trainable parameter and non-trainable parameter. Now here I have used this to classify the given figure is the burger or the vada pav. So it is like burger and vada pav is look same, right? So how best I will classify that image? For that, it is a small program. So then you we will give here the training data set and the test data set, right? So training data set we have few. I will show you how to add the data set and how to start also. So I can upload my data set on this Kaggle website, and then this notepad is written in the Kaggle only, and you can have the Google login. You can use this Jupyter notebook. Then we can have this training, testing, we will do validation. These are the standard steps when we will implement any classifiers, right? So we have one, I just took 160 image is belong to two class. So it is burger and the vada pav. So 0 is represents the burger and 1 is represent the vada pav. And then you can give the accuracy whatever you wanted to get in terms of the accuracy, or you can say performance matrix. So here if you use the accuracy as a performance matrix, then we have to show here that I wanted to use check the accuracy of my classifier. And then I have to run this by using multiple epochs. So then to better understanding of the image. So here I have just used 3 because I wanted to show you how it executes. So I have used here only 3. Otherwise, actually more and more epochs you use, you will better understand the image. So that is the reason it is advisable to use more epochs. Then we have here the accuracy plot, that is the training and testing how my results is coming. So that I have just used the plot here. And then after once my classifier is ready, I can use this as a prediction, right? So I will give as an input image here, any input image, and then I can see that what it predicts. So first till here it is the classification, and then the same rule of the classifier I will use for the prediction. So here you can see it is burger 4 image I have given, and its predict it is burger, right? So now I can start here with once you will log in into Kaggle, and then I have already logged in and kept it ready. So I have my certain codes here. So I'm leaving as of now. So this output we will see, because anyway I have executed this, so we can see the later part also. So we can start here with the new notebook, or if I have already worked, so if I'll do with the new notebook, then it will create a notebook here. And you can start. So you can insert the cells later, then you can start, right? And now I have to add my data because I have to execute my program on Kaggle. So whatever data I have on my hard drive, I can just do here add data. If you are taking from any competition data or something, but I will upload my data set, so I can say upload data set. And then I can give the data set title here, test. If I'll give say something, then I can browse the file, and whatever data I have, I can put from whichever directory I have, I can put, and I can use the create. So what it does, so I'm not creating as of now. We will take the testing data from website, and I will add that. So then you can add. So here you will get your data in the right hand side. You can see input output like that. So now I will go to the code. So this is how you can execute your program in Kaggle, right? So if we don't have a proper configuration, then we can use. Now my work. So your work, it was given. So these are the notebooks I have used, but I have not given name properly. properly. So that is the reason it is not giving proper names. But when you do, so afterwards I have given here leaf disease, so I can remember that here my program is correct. So I have given that. So I'll again open the same program. So the same program is opened here again, right? Session started. You can see down session started, and you can see here in the right hand side I have burger and I have data set. Inside the data set I have test and train data set, right? And then I want to test my image for the prediction. So I have created here 3 different folder. In that I have burger 1, burger 2, and burger for some images I have uploaded. So now already I have executed and my classifier is ready. So if I will give here, say again, if I will execute this, now I have to start it all over again. So I have to execute all this cell because I have opened the other file. So that is the reason it went off. I'm executing cell, and why cell is better is because I know that what I am doing in each cell. So that gives me confidence that okay, till here my program is working. So usually it's a good habit to execute in cell. It's fine. I mean, all cell are executed. So now it has given me the so here we just printing that 160 image belongs to 2 classes, found 40 image belong to 2 classes, and that is burger and the vada pav. Then now my epoch is executing. So you can see here that red mark is showing the CPU is in fully utilization. So it is done all the 3 because I have given here epoch is 3 only. Epoch is 3 because it takes more time if you give more epoch. So that is the reason I have given here less. But I am getting only 50% accuracy. So that is also one more. Now this is my last work is epoch, and then I have given the test image is burger 4, and it is telling me it is burger, right? So now what I will do is I have here burger 1, and it is under test image. So I can give here the test image. I can change here my the input, and I will give here say burger 1. We'll see what will happen. I'm getting this error. I have to execute it again. Test image. It is BUR. BUR1.jpg. So I'll execute again. Yeah, so it is showing the burger, right? So now I want to add the new data. So what we will do is we'll see from the website itself any image of burger images. I'll just give that. I'll download any of this. Save image as. One I'll just give JPEG I am saving. Why it is JF? I have to take JPEG. It is JF, IF. It is showing. So this one I have to take another one. We'll see here. This will store as save the images. It is JPEG only. It should save as JPEG. No, this is also showing. Why it is showing as a. I'll replace this with JPEG. We'll see what will happen. I have here Burger 4 as a JPEG. I will upload that and show. So here I will go to my, then I will say add data. I will say upload data set. I will give here again test image because I have given many test images here. So test image new I will give. I will browse the file. I will take this JPEG. I will take. So that is Burger 4. It's uploaded the file and then you can create it. This file already exists in the test image 3. Consider removing it, or I can say you keep create without duplication. Okay, I'll remove this file first. Okay, so then I can add now. And I'll give that is new. Is uploaded, then I can say create. I'll rename it. Test image we have removed. It is save as JPEG image save. It is why it is storing with JFIF. This file which I am not getting is JPEG 1. save. Okay, it's not saving with JPEG, so then I cannot upload it. So anyway, whatever I have uploaded, we can just change the path to that. So you can upload the JPEG file with add data, right? So we have done with the test image burger 1. So I will now change this to libraries test image 2, and I have BUR2, and it, I think predict the wrong one. Shift enter. So it is correct, again correct burger only it is predicting, right? So that is how we can execute our program on Kaggle. Now next, if multiple students are working on some project, then we can, I think then this Colab is the better one. So in one project many students were working, so they have created their name in the Google Drive, created the drive, they have uploaded all the uh, data set, and then they were working, all are working with the same drive, and then they can use the collab.research.google.com, and then here also you can start with the new Jupyter notebook, and then we can write the program, and here we have to mount. So here we have to mount the data. So you can see here on mount drive and mount the drive. So already we have created the drive, and the drive we have certain data. So that same we can use here. So that is how we can execute here using the Colab also. So these two website are very good to execute more when you require more computation cost. So now I'll come back to the my presentation again. Now I will show what we have done using these CNN algorithms. So plant-wise comparison of various CNN algorithms for detection of pest infestation. So here we have used the deep learning neural network, that is CNN model, LXNet, ResNet, BGG16, BGG19, and Inception. So we implemented this on our data set by varying the parameter. So I'll just show you this paper, and this was accepted in PuneCon. So we have, and I think another 2 days we have this conference. I'll go through. So this is how we have written the paper, that is like, or the architecture you explain and you write it in your own words. And then we have here, this is the basic table we created, and then we have seen that which layer or which convolution CNN will work better. So here we have taken the different crops. So it is to identify the plant disease, leaf disease. So we have taken the standard data, and we have here plant is apple plant, bell pepper, corn, cherry, and grapes, peach, potato, strawberry, tomato, and this type of different plants we have taken, and this number shows how many images we have, and then we have performed on total 45,000 data, right? And then this is the plant with leaf with the disease, and then you have to find out that what is the disease we have on this particular leaf. So for that we have changed the layers here. So softmax we have used initially for bell pepper, then we have used the SGD here, then Adam optimizer, so, and then we have changed the different fully connected network size, then we have changed drop-downs value, and then we calculated that what all the validation accuracy we got, and we have run all this on 20 or 50 box. So then we have shown here the different parameters with the cherry and wallpaper. So, and then we have here different validations. So we have executed all this AlexNet, Inception, ResNet, which is 16 with all this plant, that is 8 or 9 variety, and then we have calculated the accuracy. So to start with, to understand the CNN and its different types of architecture, we can start with one data set, execute and see that how it is working and which one will give better result, which one will not give the better result. So here we found that more and more layers convolution networks if you use, then you will get little better accuracy. So this is one. Then next one is my underwater image enhancement using generative adversarial network with residual block and ETL penalty. So this why we started is, if we have autonomous vehicle, underwater vehicle, and then you just fix the camera to it, it takes the photo, image or picture from the underground water, and then you can find out that which type of objects are available under the sea or the river, how clean it is. So the application of underwater image, when you take, this is the application. So, and when we know that when you take the underwater image, it is a little blur, so we need some technique to enhance that, and once you enhance that model or enhance that image, we can give it for the recognition model, and then it recognize the object which is available in that image. So that image we have taken underground, right? So that we can it better identify the objects which is present in that image. So that is the reason underwater image enhancement is required. And so this is the standard one. You have image, underwater images, you give it to enhancement deep learning models, then you will get the output as enhanced image, and that you can give it to recognition model. So to start with, we have started like this. Then you give the raw image, you do pre-processing, then you will get the pre-processed image, then you will have the features, then you give to generator. So here we have GAN. So I will tell you what is GAN, generative adversarial network. So that is also part of CNN only. So we have here generator and discriminator. So we use both. So next I will discuss that, and then I'll come back to this figure again. So generative adversarial network is the two neural networks you take and you they work against each other. So that is why adversarial effect you will get it. So one network will give the positive value and another will say it's a negative value, and then whatever the difference you will get it, based on that you can say how your image is. So we will use each this neural network, two neural network at a time for generative adversarial network, and then we will get here we generate the new synthesis instance of the data, and that pass for the real data, and then we can identify whether it is real or fake, or we have used that GAN for the enhancement of the image. So here you give the real image sample. This again I have taken from the website. So we will give here the random input, it generates. So generator is also using what? CNN model. Here discriminator also use the CNN model. And then we will have the generator loss and the discriminator loss. So basically we will map X to Y here. So X is, you will feed it into generator, Y is you are getting as a discriminator by using the CNN values. And for that some objective functions we require for the mapping, and based on that we will use the here discriminator and generator loss. So which objective function you use, based on that it gives you the better result. So we have combined different objective functions, and then we have come up with the EDL penalty. That is what my title says here, that it is residual blocks and EDL penalty. So we have used this ADL penalty is the objective function, and we got the better result, and we have filed for the copyright, and we got that within 4 months. So it is like, because we are in a software, so it is little difficult to file for the patent, because when you file the patent we need some hardware component into it. So but when you write your program, and if you come out with your own algorithm, that we can copyright. So here in backpropagation of the generator training, what it does, so it gives the random input first, then generator network. That generator network is nothing but your CNN model, which transform the random input into data instant. Then again we have discriminator network, that is also it's CNN only, which classifies the generated data. Then we have discriminator output and generator loss, which penalize the generator for failing to fool the discriminator. So they work in contrast with each other. Then same thing we have here is discriminator. So you can see that discriminator is on the top now, and say we use the back propagation to find out the with real image. Then it does the real data instance, that is the real picture of the people. The discriminator uses this instance as positive example during the training, and then here fake data instance, which takes as a negative example during the training. So we started with the paper existing on the GYAN. So there was underwater image enhancement based on conditional generative adversarial network. So when you take generative adversarial network, there are two CNN, standard CNN they will use. Now here they have used conditional generative adversarial network. They have used the dual discriminator. So this part down you can see this is also one neural network, and here also it is one neural network which work to each other. But here what was the problem is it takes lots of computation, because discriminator have two neural network, and here in generator also we have multiple neural networks. So time computation is more complex. Then next we have is fast underwater image enhancement for improved visual perception, fast underwater image enhancement GYAN, that is Vani-GYAN. So this also we have implemented, and then we come up with our own algorithm with EDL penalty. So when we implemented the basic GYAN, the C-GYAN, Vani-GYAN, then we came to know that what is the deficiency, and that we have overcome to file the copyright, or then we can write even the research paper. So we can compare here now multiple GYAN, and we can even write the research paper here. So here they have used the encoder decoder pair, and then for the discriminator they have used the Markovian patch GYAN. So that is the difference here compared to the normal your traditional GYAN value. So the hello. Yeah, so here we have got the result with C-GYAN. So this is the input image underwater, and this is the enhanced image. So here you can see the object clarity is more, right, in the second figure. So same way here it is the original image, and then the right hand side is the enhanced image. So you can say that we can identify better way. Now if I'll give these images to object identification, then I will get the better result, right? So that is the reason I require to use the and I have to enhance the images. So now same here, because in the previous one there was not many objects, so we took one more image, and this is the enhanced image, and then we have used that for identification of the object. So this we have just used the YOLO algorithm for identification, and you can see that it is clearly identifying the fish. And then this is the copyright what we have got for this particular project. So it is underwater image enhancement using generative adversarial network with residual blocks and the EDL penalty. So this residual block we have used in the CNN model. So we have added a few CNN, we dropped out some convolution layer, and then we have added some pooling, and then EDL penalty we have used as an objective function. So now the other part is the recommendation system. This is my research work when I was doing my PhD. So I have started with the text processing, and then at the end of my PhD I have done image processing also, and that is how I got interest, and later I have started working with image and video processing. So here in recommendation system I have taken only the image part, because the webinar what I am giving is based on the image analysis. So where you can use this image analysis again. So you can see this is the live example in the Google. If I give say apple, here is a word, but it's finding out the uh, all the apples, right? So but here I am giving text as input, apple. I'm writing that, right? But it is giving you output is in terms of the image. So later in the Flickr data set also I can use, it is using the image recommendation based on the image. So these are the real application. Now you can say that this one is the recent research it is going on is the image recommendation with input as an image. So in the previous two example you can say that I have given here the text as a input. Now if you have Myntra uh, app, and then you can say that here camera, you can take a picture, you can give as an input, and then it gives you the recommended images, right? So here lots of image processing is required, because you are giving input also as an image. So next is the visual recommendation by Flipkart. So they have one published a paper using deep learning based large scale visual recommendation and search for e-commerce. And so here, what is the challenges? See here, both the is with the stripes, right? Both the images with the stripe, but one here man wore the shirt, and another one is the just like that. It is the shirt, but it is kind of similar, but it is without human model. So when the system process the image, at that time we will have these challenges, and that is the reason image processing is very important, and then how you extract the features, that is also important, right? So same here, all are stripes, but here the distance between the stripes is less, thickness spacing is less. Here also one person is wearing that, and that is very far, you can see the image, but it is similar top which is given next to that. So your system should identify that both the images are similar, and that for that we require the image analysis. So now one more example of image analysis is the trip output advisor. So this is location. So if I have to go for traveling, then always we have problem that which cloth I should pack. So now TripAdvisor is giving you the recommendation that which type of cloth you can wear when you go for some trip. So it is trip outfit advisor, location oriented clothing recommendation. So this is also one of the paper in IEEE transaction on multimedia. So here by giving you this example, I just wanted to tell that there are lots of scope is in image processing or image analysis. That is how you use, or what is the application you work on. So in on TripAdvisor, all the customers keep the photos, right? Their photos where they will go. So based on that, you identify the location, and you identify the clothing item, colors, location, everything you can put, and then they have used here again the CNN model with SVM to classify. See, SVM is for the classification, and then when you give the input, then you can say that if I have to go for some which type of cloth or which type of color cloth you can take. So that is how you can do the image analysis and give the recommendation. So this can be my expected result, that if I'll go to Tibet, how I should wear the cloth. I required warm cloth, right? If I'll go to the any heritage site, so the background usually will be little dark if you have observed those. So then you can take the bright cloths, right? If you go on beach, then which type of cloth you can take. So this is the trip outfit advisor, and but it is not that much completed. I mean, it has their own challenges, because so many photos customer will upload, and that processing of that data is a big task. So how you can come up with your own algorithm is a challenge here again. And when I started, I have published these papers. It is ANOVA cosine similarity image recommendation on vertical search. So here, but input I am giving as a text only, but based on the text, and then after from the image, we identify the text, and then I have used this for the recommendation. I can just go through the papers here, and then we can move to the video analysis part. Hope it is visible when I'll open that. It's visible, right?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Yeah. So here we have we started with the crawling the image, then you parse the image, and then you do the image processing here. See again, yeah. If you take recommendation, it is totally different area, but it again image analysis comes into picture, right? So you do the image processing, and here we have used the data from Myntra, and so we crawl the data from Myntra. When it was allowed, now it is not allowed, but we crawled the data in 2013 or 13, I think so. So then we have given this as a recommendation, the visual recommendations here, right? So if I give dark formal shirt, it gives me this, but we have used here the image analysis part also. So similarly, papers also are based on the image analysis. This is my book on the recommendation system, which is published in Springer. So next is the video analysis. So why image and video comes together is ultimately when you take the video, it converts into image and it process, right? So every certain seconds or milliseconds, it creates a frame. Your frame is nothing but your image. So when you take the video, again you will do after the framing, you will do the image processing only on that, right? So that is the reason the next topic I have selected is the video analysis. And once you start with image, you can always work on video. Yes, but there are challenges in the video because we have many frames. For some 1 second of video also we have 300-400 frames, right? So that is that much data you should process. So that is a challenge in video and processing or video analysis. So what do you mean by video analysis? So it is a capability of automatically analyzing the video to detect and determine the temporal or spatial events. So here we can identify, say if car is moving, then we can identify the number plate. So that is again through the video, right? And the main application is, say if I have one big township and then I don't want to keep any security person, then I can feed all the number plates information in the system, and then I can keep one camera on the gate. So when car is moving, it automatically detect and it allows me to go inside, right? So that is one of the application. Then for surveillance, yes, video we are using because everywhere now camera is there, but what we are doing with that camera, right? So for surveillance we can do the video analysis. Then when we have more number of data or videos, if something happens, then it is very difficult to go back and check, say 8 hours, 9 hours of video. Instead of that, we can generate the summary and we can keep. So that is the reason next we have worked on the video summarization, and again we have filed a patent on video summarization, how we can do this, right? So video summarization is where you can use this for the quick browsing and retrieval of large collection of video data without losing the important aspect. So basically when you say that if I will keep video in college, then when classes are there going on, students are inside the class, but when class is over, all students will come out, and then maybe in that 5 minutes something happened, then why should I go and sit and check the video for that whole 1 class hour when nobody was there in the corridor, right? So if any event occur, that event I can just capture and keep it. So I will save lots of time by keeping the summary of that video. So the original video can be summarized based on the feature presence in the video. And these features are generally drawn from three modalities. It's text, audio, and visual, right? And then we can use the combination of features and classification on that. So we have here short bound. Two basic steps in video summarization is short boundary detection and keyframe extractions. So short boundary detection process will divide the videos into shorts. The frames are integrated to form the summarized video. Here again I have just classified the video summarize process into certain blocks. So first you give the input video, then we have pre-processing of video, then feature extraction, classification of frames and removal of redundant frames. So you can see it is similar kind of the image processing. Even in image we used to do the feature extractions, right? Then here we have frames. I can say it is a, instead of image I will call it as a frames, and then because I have to generate the summary, I am removing the redundant frame. Redundant frame is the same frames I will get again and again, so that I can remove. Then integration of the keyframes, and then you can generate the video summary. So again, feature extraction methods, what we discussed, same thing we can use here, right? Same feature extraction methods we can use. For classification of frames and removal of redundant frames, also we can use again support vector machine, support vector regression, then CNN with softmax function. And integration means I am doing the clustering. So any clustering technique I can use. So I have just taken here k-means and k-nearest, which is mainly widely used. And then deep learning we can combine with classification and clustering based on the number of layers. So this is how we can do the summary. So I will show you this original video. So you can observe here. It is visible to you, right? It's running. So here this is the thief. This person is here, and he will talk to this lady. And by that time you can observe in the video what is happening. So now they both are talking. And she has taken out something and he is giving it to that person. So what is the important part? And then now this lady will go. Both are leaving, right? And now she is realizing that something I have missed. So this is the video, original video. Now we have generated summary. So almost we have reduced so much here that it hardly takes some milliseconds, right? So that was almost 1 minute video, the original one, and this was 10 second or 20-second video. So here we have captured the important aspect that the lady is losing something from her head, right? And then that thief has taken away. So what we have done is, this is the first work, and then later we have improved with the transfer learning. So I will not discuss much about that transfer learning. So here when we started video processing, we have given video as a input, then you extract the frame, then we have used PCA-LD. Again we have used different combinations of the algorithm to understand, and then we extracted the features. Now training over the CNN. So this is the mistake we have done here, because through CNN also you can extract the features, right? But we just wanted to know that if I will use PCA, what will happen? If I use LDA, what will happen? And this paper is published, and we got the comment that why can't you directly use CNN for the feature extractions? So that we have improvised in the next one. So here we have used PCA and LDA for the feature extraction. Then we have given CNN for classification, and then we have used K-mean and Bayesian network for integration of frames. So that is the clustering algorithm, and then we generated the summary, right? So
हम लोग नेट बैंकिंग से एक बार मेरा फिर यूनिवर्सिटी एग्जाम में पहली बार जब मैं जमा कर रहा था, उसके बाद इसलिए हम
so here we have used the video summarization by giving this combination. So PCA for feature extraction, then we have CNN for classification, and K-mean clustering. then LDA, CNN and K-mean, then PCA, CNN, Bayesian, and then LDA, CNN and Bayesian. So you can see that our own model only we have 4 combinations, right? And then we have got the results. So this is the duration of the video. So we could give only the 7 video as an input because so many times system got crashed, and then we understood that we can use the Kaggle or Colab to do it, right? So I mean, first when we generated the video summary, we literally struggled a lot to do this because it gives so many number of frames. So here it is 45 seconds, and then we have reduced it with different methods to 12, 15, 13 and 10 seconds. Then 85 seconds was reduced to 14, 18. So you can see the time drastically it got reduced here. So this is our paper. It is in TenCon conference. This conference itself is a Scopus Index conference, right? So it was selected in very good conference. And okay, this I think one thing I have missed is the number of original videos frames. So if you can see that it is for 45 seconds, it was 1520 we extracted, and then we have say we reduce it to 405, and this was our conference where we have published, and we have improvised in the next one which is not yet published. So there we have used the CNN using the transfer learning, so it understand automatically the video and it categorize the video. So that is the next work we have done on video summary. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That was a wonderful session. Participants, any queries? Participants, any queries? Sejal ma'am, thank you once again.
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank
I can
you,
stop
ma'am.
sharing, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I leave.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Dear participants, you can join the next session at 11:30. Thank you all.